When the COVID-19 pandemic started and most of us were forced to stay home more, some predicted we'd see a divorce boom. Well, far from it. In fact, many of us say the COVID-19 pandemic has coincided with an improvement in our closest relationships. We asked Australians, has your relationship with your spouse or partner changed since the pandemic? Just 6% said it got worse, while 23% of us say our relationship's now better. Before the pandemic, 4% of us said we worked from home more than 8 hours a day, and that grew more than sixfold at the height of the pandemic to 1 in 4 of us. Perhaps that increase in working from home has helped our personal lives. People with jobs were twice as likely to say their relationship with their spouse improved in the pandemic than people without them. What about our friends? Well, it's a mixed bag there. About as many people said they now have a better relationship with their friends as those who say their friendships have suffered. And the pandemic has also changed the way we look at government. 70% of us now agree that sometimes people's freedoms do need to be restricted to keep Australia safe. And that is up 16 percentage points since we asked the same question in 2019. Even with all the upheaval we experienced in the past year, looking at how other countries lived through the pandemic, looks like it's sharpened our belief that Australia is the best country in the world in which to live. In 2019, 70% of us agreed with that statement. An even stronger majority, 80%, do so now.
Casey Briggs there. Let's look more closely at how the pandemic and lockdowns have affected people's relationships. Here's Professor Lynn Craig from the University of Melbourne. Good to see you, Lynn. Thanks so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
So I think most people would have expected that lockdowns and the enforced time together would have perhaps led to more couples falling out with each other. It seems that over nearly a quarter of people have found their relationships enhanced.
Yes, they have.
Are you surprised by that result?
Somewhat, yes. We did expect it would be very difficult for people, but on the other hand, there was also a finding that people's priorities became clearer to them, and I think that they might be related to the fact that people's loved ones are the most important priority, and it seems to have concentrated people's minds. And yes, they became closer.
Doesn't it depend on individual circumstances?
It does.
Age of the kids, whether the kids were at school during the lockdown, financial pressures.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There was we did related research looking at work-family balance and care and balancing work and work while you've got care at home. And so for families with children, yes, it was very, very stressful, and there was a lot of dissatisfaction with the way partners shared the household labour and the paid work.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Were the lockdowns almost a fast-track way to work out long-standing issues such as the division of household chores or any potential areas?
Well, yes. For Australian women, the division of household chores has been a long-standing issue, and how they balance work and share things with their partner is an issue. And of course, it made that much more concentrated because, especially during the lockdowns, the children were there at the same time as well, and that was extremely stressful for the people in those circumstances.
What else came out of the survey in this area that drew your attention then, Lynn?
Well, the issue that we had our relationships improve on average, but also our mental and physical health was not good. And I think that might have been related to the issue of the priorities being clarified, because if you realise that your priorities are your family, and so many of us our immigrants come from overseas, have family overseas, and it might be clear that's a great priority, but the inability to be with them and to travel back for emergencies or even just for contact, that's quite a stressor, which a lot of people didn't expect to have added to their lives. We've always assumed that we can move at will virtually. We're all a plane ride away from those we love, and we found out that we weren't necessarily.
Can we predict the longer term implications of the pandemic from where we are now and what we've seen in the Australia Talk survey?
I think it's quite hard to make those predictions. I was particularly struck by the finding that young people were particularly affected in their mental health, and I think that requires quite a lot of watching and monitoring. Young people are at a point in their lives when setbacks can be scarring. They can, be in a situation where they can't move into paid work from education, or the education experience was disrupted. I think that would be something to really watch in future.
Professor Lynn Craig, great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So how do your views compare to the survey? To find out, head to abc.net.au/Australia Talks to find out.